All right, peace to Black Power family. Welcome to another episode of African Liberation School Special Edition for today only. Catch us at our normal broadcasting time every Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, here via this wonderful, illustrious channel. Get this wisdom live. Salute to Shock the Everlasting Peace Earth and the illustrious staff of Get This Wisdom Magazine. Make sure you go subscribe, www.getthiswisdommagazine.com. We have the bot symbol today, and this is the third installment of 4 installments of Remembering Osir. So we got the panel here assembled, and we're going to yield the floor to Chief Priest of Henensu, Nasut. Aankhu Benu is in the building.
All right. Peace, life, prosperity, and health. Uncle Jasineb, Tep. Want to say dua to my good brother Knowledge Born Allah, and to Get This Wisdom Magazine family for extending the welcome to to myself and to the Henensu family, to join once again this offering of mine, remembering Osir. It is a very important book, not just saying that because I wrote it, but just in terms of what it does, for as far as pushing forward study and the practice of our classical African culture and spiritual traditions. Every now and then a work is produced, a study is done, experiment is carried out, if you will. Time shifting, okay, that is cutting edge and paradigm shifting, and it moves things forward. It moves the entire field forward, and that's the type of work that we have here in Remembering Osir. We are taking it beyond the rhetoric. We're taking it beyond the aesthetic. We're taking it beyond just dealing with Kemetic, if you will, from a a slogan or catchphrase, and we're taking it beyond just looking at the pictures of the walls, looking at the pictures of the Neteru and guesstimating what it means and what the ancestors taught, etc. so on. No, we are really going in and doing this thing for real. So you're in for a treat. Want to say dua for tuning in and for following us, thus far for the past several weeks. And, I'm looking forward to a great build tonight.
All right, we're going to have the panel that we have here assembled from the bot. Take opportunity to introduce themselves. I know we got Sin. Corey is in the building.
Yeah, that's a poo. This is Sin Corey. Just saying what's up. I'm fairly new to the organization, but ready to dive in.
Sent him up.
Uncle Jasineb, Grandma. Just ready to get this work. So I'm tuning in.
Ready to get this work. So we're going to yield the floor back over to Nasut so we could open in proper fashion.
Okay. So, first and foremost, before we get into this thing, we want to first start off by paying homage and saluting rank, giving honor to our divine ancestry. So, I want to say, Necharatin Yita Amawut Nater. Salutation of power, Father, Mother Nater. Kepa Ruim, Nunet. Kepa Ruim, Ra Raet. Kepa Ruim, Ishut of Nut. Kepa Ruim, Hiwataru, Keparuim, Peseju Netaru Nebu. There who comes as, who manifests as Nu and Nunet, Ra and Ra'it, Shu and Tufnut, Hiwataru, and all the divine forces of nature. Keperuim, Nut, and Geb. Keperuim, Osir. Keperuim, Heru, War. Keperuim, Sutesh. Keperuim, Oset. Keperuim, Nephet. Keperuim, Anpu. Keperuim, Heru, Sa Oset, Sa Oser. Keperuim, Maduniter. Keperuim, Subek, Bla, Imimu. Keperuim, Pesejun, Neteru, Nebu. Father, Mother, Neter, who comes as Nut and Geb, Osir, Heruwa, also called Behudet, Sutesh, Oset, Nephet, Anpu, way. Heru, son of Osir and Oset, Tahuti, thank you for the Maduniter. Sebek, thank you, you who dwell in the waters, God of the Yin. Netaratin Yitamu, Neter Keperuim, Oser Kinti Amin to you, Jer to you, Imu Hat, Imu Ba, Tup you O, Shepsu, Yaku, Hesi you. Salutation of power, Father, Mother, Neter, who manifests as also first amongst the Westerners, our ancestors, legendary ones, those of yore, those from before, those at the head, the praised ones, the holy ones, the venerable ones, the honorable ones, the sacred ones. Honor to our ancestors. Nesaratin Yitamu, Neter Keperuim, the new salutation of power, Father, Mother, Neter, who manifests as your ancestors. I salute listening and tuning in today. I salute your ancestors. And I salute all of us as manifestation and expressions and emanations, incarnations, the walking embodiment divine of Neter, ourselves. Do why Neter, give thanks and praises to Neter, adorations to Neter, and let's go on and get into this thing.
All right. I wanted to, unless anybody had any objections, I wanted to get into chapter 7, and I wanted to say, from these readings that every chapter is a book within itself. You understand? You understand what I'm saying? Every chapter is a book within itself. One of the things that I wanted to ask the Abad is, going through this particular work. I'm on page 131 for anyone. Chapter 7, the anatomy of being. I know we have been doing some extensive conversations in regards to dealing with this particular subject matter. So I guess let me ask Nasut, the way this particular writing is ordered, the anatomy of being. Is this a starting point for a lead-in to something? Was it strategically set in a certain kind of way? I know you spoke about the overall way that it's spatially represented throughout the chapters. You wanted to start in a particular order and work from that particular way. So I was wondering if this being the 7th chapter, the anatomy of being, is that something that you strategically place right there for a particular purpose?
As number 7, like was it a significance to it being the 7th chapter?
Yes.
I actually know it kind of just happened that way, and it happened that way in a few chapters where the subject matter of the chapter has significance within the tradition as well. Okay, so that's just the way the forces worked, and played itself out. So, but yeah, it's not anything that I now as far as what it what it follows. Okay, the chapters that it follows, yeah, all of that was definitely intentional, and it's appropriate in the order that it's in, going into details. And I also have to give credit, I say that particular title, The Anatomy of Being, was inspired by one of my teachers. Okay, from before, so definitely give a salute to Shekum Shekum Rawan Nefam in the first, because he was the first person that I ever heard use the phrase the anatomy of being. Now, while my breakdown of the anatomy of being is not the same as his, I can say that in watching him tackle the subject matter was something that is definitely stuck with me, and it served as inspiration for me to go it on and put my stamp on it.
Okay. So throughout this chapter, I guess I'm going to go in, real quick to page 167. Something that immediately stood out to me was in the second chapter. It says the Ka is received by an individual from their mother and is formed along with the Kahat or physical body in the mother's womb. It is the feminine counterpart to the Ba. Ka has been mistaken by scholars to be handed down from father to son due to a misunderstanding of certain passages in the pyramid text that speak to Osir being the Ka of Heru. In actuality, Osir in this instance does not represent the father but the ancestor. Also, it should be clear that anything that Heru receives from Osir, he does so through his mother Osset, who represents the ancestral lineage and medium of inheritance, being that Kemet was a matrilineal society. I wanted to stop there and get that, analysis. How could someone arrive at this particular train of thought with this, analysis of this not being something that's passed from the mother and the father, and also this matrilineal society?
Okay, that's a great, it's a big misunderstanding, if you will, as it pertains to the Kemetic tradition as well as Kemetic civilization. A lot of people misunderstand, or they don't understand the differences between, let's say, matrilineal, okay, or a system that's matrilineal versus a system that's matriarchal. Those two terms are confused often. When it comes to certain things as it pertains to the the various vital elements that make us up as individuals, okay, that our beings consist of, that is, let's say when we're talking about Western science and folks study genetics and they study different genes and things of that nature, and it's not far-fetched to hear, okay, this is a gene or which is responsible for a particular trait or characteristic that this individual's father, or okay, this is a particular gene that is responsible for this particular trait or characteristic that is from this individual's mother. Okay, this is not far-fetched, but when for African people, this is not anything new. We understood this at a deeper level, that there are vital constitutional elements that make us up as individuals that are ultimately responsible for the way that we actually manifest, you know, responsible for our characteristics, our personality, you know, our temperament, and so much more. So unless you are really doing your due diligence and really studying this tradition and studying the text, the key is in the text, okay? You know, if you're not in the text of our ancestors, okay, you know, if you don't really go into not just like the Pertim Hira, but through several Pertim Hira, like, you know, people about the coffin text, they talk about the pyramid text, they talk about the Pertim Hiru, quote unquote, but they don't realize that not just one singular book or one singular text. These are not one singular text. Like, there are several manuscripts, several versions of these texts that are dedicated to different ancestors. So there's like literally hundreds, if not thousands, of copies. Okay, there are several copies or several versions, each dedicated to a different ancestor of the pyramid text and the coffin text. And some versions include rituals, include texts and things of that nature that are not included in others. You understand? And if you don't of this information, you can very easily miss the correlation between the Ka, okay, and the mother, okay. And you know, for instance, there's a chapter of not allowing a man's heart to be driven away from him, okay, in the Pertim Hira, which I include in my book, in Remembering Osir, as a prayer to the heart, to the ear, okay, because that's ultimately what it is, you know. And you know, in this particular chapter, you know, there's a connection being made, you know, yip e in amaut e, okay, my heart, my mother, okay, come into being, or my heart, which is responsible for my coming into being, okay. And then later on in the chapter, it says, okay, into ka'i imi kat'i kurum sawaja, okay, you are my ka within my kat, you are my ka within my body, forming and shaping my limbs, making my limbs strong. There's a connection between the mother, the heart, the ka, and the kat, okay. And this is something that is further elaborated when you understand it in the context of the Bible. So to make a long story short, it standard, okay. You know, how the ka is inherited from the mother, and the kat, the ba, is inherited through the father, and how that takes place. You have to go into the literature, and then beyond that, this is not something that's foreign to African traditions. Isn't you know, alone in that. You have similar concepts, like for instance in the Akan tradition, you have, you know, different elements of your being in Toro, you know, the cry and things of this nature that are inherited through, you know, through your parents, okay, through through each parent respectively. Something that, you know, that is you know, African people once again always understood. In terms of you know, that particular you know, once again, that particular chapter that I mentioned from the text, where people associate Osir with the Ka, okay, that's a misunderstanding of that particular chapter, because it deals with you know, Osir, the true person within Heru, as like Heru is serving as a vessel or a medium for his father or his ancestors. and Heru's identity is no longer distinct from his father or his ancestors. Like his personality, if you will, is that of his ancestor or that of his father. And that Osir is the Ka of Heru, because, you know, Heru in the tradition, he offers himself as an offering or sacrifice, if you will, in a sense, you know, annihilating his ego, annihilating his sense of separateness or distinction from him, from his father, from his ancestors, himself to be a vessel or medium for his ancestors, for his ancestor work and move through him. That's the way to understand that. And you know, but in all of this, right, the bridge in the tradition, okay, between the ancestors and the living individual is that maternal line. Okay, it's that maternal lineage. We receive those. I say we come here through our mother. The bulk of the the bulk of the genetic material gives actual substance to the seed. Okay, this comes from the mother. The seed, the egg, or pardon me, the egg provides the matrix, okay, and the materia through which the actual body, okay, of the individual actually works itself out. So this is something, once again, you know, it needs to be understood carefully. You know, our you know, we may come, for instance, in the tradition, it said to enter into the world through the crown of your father's head. It's transmitted via his seed. Okay, when the seed is you know, transmitted, is planted into the womb, okay, that seed, that ba via the seed goes on to shape and mold the ka and kat of the individual within the womb of the mother. This is the significance of Kunum, who is depicted as a man with the head of a ram. The term for ram in the tradition also being ba. This is Kunum, representing the ba or seed of the father, okay, shaping and molding the personality, or the ka and the kat, the personality and the physical body of the child on the potter's wheel. The potter's wheel itself presenting the, you know, it's a phallic symbol in the ritual context. You know, and we could get in, that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time, but this is what this is talking about. Okay, so, you know, that is not, you receive all of this from your father by way of your mother. It's not direct. Okay, that's the way that should be understood.
All right. To you, is there anyone else that wanted to add, or was there anything out of chapter 7 in regards to the anatomy of being that anybody wanted to share? Any takeaways from?
Yeah, I could chime in a little bit. I think honestly, that entire chapter it's thick, but it's kind of deep. So, you know, there's a whole lot that I could really go on about. But one part that spoke out to me was just I guess there's a part mentioning, you know, existence and what that means. You know, my pops, this is a child, he used to always tell me, just study the word existence, and if you break it down, you can see like it kind of means like an outer state of being. But I never really fully grasped that until I really read this book. And Aankhu Benu was kind of mentioning that existence is, I really want to put it in his words, not my words, but you know, yeah. So Neber Jer is pure being, existence itself. It simply is and always has been. And Then when you think about Ra, or just Nu in itself, or whatever, that pure state of energy, and then Ra being like life itself, being expressed. I don't know. It's it's the mundane effect of Nu. I can't really put it in my words, man, but you just got to check it out for yourself. It's really deep, and Aankhu Benu could probably maybe further elaborate on that. And I got one question too after this.
Okay, two. I say we can go in on that.
To you.
Yes. Yeah, ask your question, because I know that's probably going to stimulate some more, dialogue in that regard.
The question that I was going to ask was actually kind of piggybacking off of what you was talking about earlier. You was mentioning that there's not just like one book of the dead. Is there like maybe a few universal, like I guess, like, how do you know which sources to check out versus I don't know, man. Like where would you know to go, and how would you even know that there's even multiple Book of the Dead's out there?
Okay. So the person here, right? Now, when I say several versions, I don't mean several translations. That's not what I mean. Okay, and version isn't even the correct word to use. It's several, if you will, in that, let's say, if you consider or understand that these texts were prepared to be used as a ritual text for a priest or a priestess upon their transition to become an ancestor. This means that each priest had a unique or had a personalized copy, if you will, in that when you read through it, their names have actually been inserted into the chapters, so it reads like the Osir Ani, Nefertari, the Osir Nebsini, etc. so on, right? So this is the same with the pyramid text. This is the same with the coffin text, right? These each ancestor has a personalized version, if you will, a copy of this work to be used in their particular rituals for their ancestral rituals. So when in understanding that, on the time frame or the time period, okay, some rituals might have been added, time frames where certain things might have been developed more or evolved or whatever, or thing where some of the texts might have been damaged, incomplete, when the archaeologists and folk found them, and in that sense, okay, something might be missing over here, but we find it over here in this particular ancestor's version. So that's a way to understand that, and you know that kind of information, you got to be again, this is what I do. So what I do, I mean, it's just I'm into, if you're not into it like that, if you're not going into it like that, then you or if this is not what you do, okay, then the papyrus of Ani, okay, is the only pertinent or so-called Book of the Dead. We think that the pyramid text of Wanis, okay, is the only pyramid text, okay, or you understand what I'm saying, and that's not the case. There's literally hundreds, if not thousands, of versions of the pertinent hero. There's several versions of the pyramid text, several versions of the coffin text, and I say the way that we do it, we compare them to see, okay, which texts contain which chapters and which chapters are missing from others. And you know, also there may be some variations in the terminology that is used. They might say things you know a different way, using a different word depending on who was actually or writing this particular ancestor's work. So you know, it's tedious task. It requires that you learn the language. You should know the language in studying this. And you know, in going in like that, you gain access to all these several different chapters, and you have information that our ancestors left. Okay, you know, a lot of information that our ancestors left, and all of it should be studied very carefully. So you'll be able to get them jewels, like the jewel. First and foremost, the first time that I came across teaching that comes into the world through the crown of the father's head, okay, during the moment of conception, right? This was one of the stories of a priest and his son, okay. You know, the son's name is Osir, okay. And Setna is the father. They are priests as well as juju men, if you will. It's in that particular story that the teaching of the Ba entering through the father's head is you know, that's my first encounter with it. Then after that, the next time that I came across it was, you know, the relationship between the Ba was in the pyramid, not the pyramid text, pardon me, in the Pertim Hira, as it pertains to the 7 Baru of Ra. Okay, you know, the Baru being you know, good seed and a strong male and this, that, and the third, right? Showing that connection. And then later on, I came across it in a few chapters of the coffin text, where it explains explicitly, enters into the crown of the head, and is transmitted via the seminal emission from the father. So you know, it's you know, it's through studying these various texts that you look for or you come across these things. All right. Now, as far as the you know, whole thing about existence and the anatomy of being, right? You know, we got to understand what this is. You know, you got quantum physics. You know, quantum physics today. These scholars, these physicists, these scientists that, you know, lay out their quantum theories. They lay out their theories of the universe, you know, the manner in which the universe operates, and you know, the laws that undergird and underpin the universe. And you know, many of them are, you know, very, you know, similar to what our ancestors laid down, you know, string theory and things of that nature, quantum mechanics, and you know, the law of thermodynamics and things that, you know, these things are very similar to what our ancestors laid down in their cosmologies, right? And you know, this is what our ancestors laid down. Our ancestors sought to understand the universe, understand reality organized, okay, or how reality is organized, how the universe comes into being, how life comes into being within the universe, okay, and the various interrelationships between all of the forces and elements and beings that exist within the universe. Okay, our ancestors understood these things. They, through their observation of nature and natural phenomena and celestial phenomena and occurrences, through observing these things and the cycles and patterns and rhythms, things happen. They begin to, you know, understand these forces and their workings, their interrelations, the laws by which they operate, the times by which, you know, that they're prevalent or that they're in operation, their relationships with one another. On these observations, they derived principles, and they utilize these principles to organize their thinking and organize, their behavior, okay, as well as their societies accordingly. This is once again understanding this science. This is a science that they're dealing with. Okay, now all of this, our cosmologies, or the way that our ancestors explain these, this phenomena, right? They explain these forces and their laws and their relationships, and also the principles that are derived from them, the morale, and all of those things that are derived from them. This is the way that they taught to express, to study, and also to teach and transmit this information in a holistic way, completely integrated and intrinsic. Okay, seeing the interconnectedness and the interdependence of all things within the all. Right? This is what the cosmologies do. Okay, so the anatomy of being as pure existence, called it new. Okay, this is what the Wazi Stephen Hawking, the singularity, okay, the singularity, or an undifferentiated point, from which the universe expanded, right? This is what ancestors expressed as new. When he describes, when the quantum physicists describe this singularity, a point saying that there was no up, no down, no left, no right, none of that. All that existed was the inner. Okay, this is what our ancestors understood as Amun. This is the way to our ancestors understood it, but it's not speaking as though it's a non-living being or an unconscious, unintelligent being, as though intelligence and life and all of this shit happened as a result of some kind of coincidence or random act or mistake. That's the main primary difference, right? Our ancestors understood this evolutionary force within the universe, and they understood and studied how it was organized. So, being new, and from new, Ra, or Keperi, right? Ra is Keperi. It takes place within that. And the process, whether you're talking Big Bang and a cooling process, where gases went through a cooling process, how is that any difference from Nu to Ra to Ishu to Tufnut to Nut? Okay, so from this undifferentiated force or state of chaos, which we call Nu, okay, Ra rises, okay, this fire, this creative being, this bang or explosion takes place and rises up within this all, bringing the first point in order and differentiation, okay, and afterwards the gases to form and organize, right? How is that any different from what our ancestors referred to as Shu? Okay, which they associate with air, right? And Shu, or these gases, go on to go through a cooling process where matter begins to form. How is that any different from the force that our ancestors referred to as Tufnut? And from the forming of this matter and the organization of this matter, the ordered universe comes into existence. Could this be the reason why Nut follows behind Tufnut? So this is our ancestors of the science of the universe that's being broken down here. in the anatomy of being, but it's not simply as though we're understanding it from the, you know, looking up and looking out and, you know, talking about this being this universe as though we are not active participants within it and part of it as it. And that's what's laid out in the anatomy of being.
Wow.
Tio.
All right. Anybody else have anything they wanted to add? Anybody had any questions? Did that spark anything in anyone that they wanted to share about the anatomy of being chapter?
Hetepu.
Okay. I wasn't gonna do that. You know what I'm saying?
I had a question since we got the author on the line. I wanted to draw attention to one of the points in this chapter on page 153, and is discussing the 9 spiritual bodies. And it's talking about how our being is multidimensional, with many different layers. It's saying something very specific, very particular. But I think that reading it from the lens where we're kind of surrounded by a culture that is all about multiculturalism, I wanted to ask, what is this saying specifically? How is that different from saying that, you know, we are the world?
How is what different from saying we are the world in particular? We want to make sure I understand the question now.
I'm asking how, when you make a statement that, you know, we're multi-dimensional beings and how we, you know, have many different components within us.
Okay.
That's not saying the same thing as you know, we are the world.
No, I say that's totally, has absolutely nothing to do with it. Like, you know, when we say we're multi-dimensional beings, or we consist of, you know, a multiplicity of forces. You know, it's no different from understanding that there are billions of cells that make us up as individuals. Okay, there's probably billions, if not trillions, of atoms that make us up as individuals. So, in understanding our being, our ancestors, they identify 9, okay, you know, spiritual bodies or cells, if you will, that make individuals. Each individual consists of these, right? You know, when we talk about the Shechem, we talk about Yaku, we talk about Ba, we talk about Sudaku, we talk about the Ib, we talk about the Ka, we talk about the Rin, the Shewito, and the Kat. Okay, like these bodies, okay, they, you know, they either function. Okay, it's like saying, okay, within our bodies, there's several organs that work together in a systematic way. Okay, within our spiritual anatomy, there's several quote unquote bodies or spiritual organs, if you prefer, that make us up as individuals, and each one has its specific role and function to carry out. I
think I understood. You know, the idea of specialization. But I guess I was asking, what is the implications as far as nationality is concerned?
I said it has. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
How did I don't know, yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Okay, yeah, it has nothing to do with it. You know, there's nothing implicit, if you will, in it that speaks to nationality. Now, when you start talking about those elements that deal specifically with ancestry, your ba, your ka, etc., so on, then yeah, each person's ba, person's ka is inherited from their father and their mother. So there's a connection there between your ancestry and your nationality, etc., so on. But there's nothing in it that to this "we are the world" kind of thing. I say there's elements of the individual when we start talking about the Ba and the Yaku and the Shechem and all these things. Yeah, there's an aspect, for instance, if of your being, that when you get to the most subtle point, there's no more individuality at all. Okay, it's just pure being. There's no separateness or anything, right? It's like a ice cap consolidating or solidifying within the vast body of the sea. Okay, this is no different from when physicists say, okay, at the most subtle level, things or quote unquote physical things no longer exist, right? That's the same way that our ancestors understood when we start talking about Shechem and its relationship to Nu and things of that nature. But in terms of any kind of "we are the world," anything like that, there's nothing implicit in it. Anything close to that.
I guess what brought that question on is just you hear a lot of we in essence we're the same in that type of rhetoric.
Oh, okay. I think I got you now. Okay. I think. I got you now, I think. So okay, because each and every person consists of these beings, so it's like, or these forces or these bodies, is because because of that, you say in essence we are the same, etc. So on. Okay, yeah, that's not what's being implied in that at all. And in understanding that, we definitely got to take into consideration, I say, that's what ancestry and nationality and all of that stuff come into play.
It's interesting because what I'm hearing too is that if anything, like specialization is the reason why this system works the way it does. So yeah, it was good stuff.
Okay. Do I?
All right, so I just wanted to take a quick opportunity to be able to have you share where people can get the book. We have some other people that are tuning in right now. We're going over this third installment of reviewing the text, remembering Osir, a masterful book on authentic Kemetic spirituality. So I'm going to turn the floor over to you, Aankhu Benu, to share with the family where they can get the book from.
Okay. Definitely. The work that we are discussing, tonight, remembering Osir. This book is a it's a big book. It's 66 pages. into, our classical African, culture and traditions, Nile Valley culture, the spiritual traditions. And, it's available on our website at www.henensu.com, henensu.com, www.henensu.com. If you want to understand, the Kemetic spiritual tradition, in a very authentic way, you want to understand it without any additives or self-styled wisdom and things of that nature. You want to know what the ancestors actually said, what they actually did, what they actually taught, practices and things of that nature. This is a book that that you want to get to understand that, and also to implement it in your life, to practice the tradition yourself.
While I'm here for that, I just wanted to make sure, hold up the book one more time for the fam. This is what we're getting into right here. Got a few pages in it. Got a few pages. How many pages you say?
666.
Oh, 666 pages. Boy, that's what I'm talking about. That is what I'm talking about. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to the people in the chat room out here. Let's see. Got my sister Monica in the building. Woo woo, Monica. And we got Kuji Amanita. I hope I said that right. If I said it wrong, forgive me. So if y'all got any questions in regards to what we're going over, y'all can type your questions here in the chat room, and I'll feed them to our Nasit and to our illustrious bot that's here assembled, and we could get into it. Thank y'all for tuning in. All right, so moving along to one of the most overused yet misunderstood words in regards to Kemetic spirituality, ma'at. So let's let's deal with chapter 8, ma'at, Masuk. If I could count how many times, or if I had a dollar or 20 cents or 10 cents or a penny, I think for every time I heard ma'at used, misused, abused, represented, misrepresented, can we get into ma'at as a term, as a concept, and how we got into this fall in regards to ma'at.
Okay. Well, ma'at, as many other catchphrases that our people use, or it's kind of like when you're a baby and you hear certain words and you repeat certain words, and you may learn a little bit about it. You might understand it, you might not understand it, but you repeat it. Even when you grow in age and understanding, necessarily understand if you're doing a one-to-one translation, you're trying to translate the word, okay, and you're gonna say, okay, ma'at means truth, right? You're not gonna understand that as from the Western paradigm or the Western mind frame, trying to just understand ma'at, it into your culture, into your language. you know, you're not going to understand the same way as someone that is a participant in the culture and tradition that you're looking at. You're not going to understand it as, you know, in the same way that someone that is dealing with the linguistics and the etymology and all of that understands it. So, you know, there's levels and degrees to it. So when I hear people use the phrase ma'at, people mean, you know, different things when they say it. They're saying, okay, ma'at is truth, justice, righteousness, balance, order, harmony, reciprocity, etc. so on. This is something that I think might have first come out from the ancestor James in his work Stolen Legacy. And I would say that those things are good, right? You know, that breakdown is good. It's I say, you know, none of those terms are incorrect per se. When we study ma'at, you know, as a what's the word I'm looking for? When we study ma'at conceptually, okay. But you know, to really understand ma'at, you have to get into the tradition. You have to get into the tradition, and you have to really go in and you know, study it in certain contexts, you know, in the cosmologies and ritual contexts and such and so on. So ma'at, you know, our people say use it to you know, speak to truth. They use it to speak to justice. They use it to speak to righteousness or right order or doing the right thing, etc. so on. We use it in a way that they treat it like it's a religion. Okay, so they say ma'at, I live ma'at, or my religion is ma'at, etc. so on. And that's, I say, you know, that's, you know, we gotta question what exactly do you mean by that when you say that. Okay, so you know, is ma'at is a term, means you know, that which is straight or that which is correct, that which is right, if you will, as in it's correct. Okay, you know, in the context of, you know, the cosmology, okay, ma'at is the result, differentiation or duality coming into existence. And it serves, you know, once you have this duality, now there's order in this, you know, there's a need for order within the universe, or there's order in the universe. And there is order in the sense of, you know, things being brought from a state of chaos in a formless, undifferentiated state. Okay, now I say this is, if this is too complex, get the book. Okay, there a formless, differentiated state to an organized state, or state of order, a state where there are distinctions and things of that nature made. And this dualization or this polarity that comes into being, now these dual aspects have to be able to interact with and have intercourse and interface with one another, and there are laws by which this relationship operates. That's the foundational premise of what ma'at is. What is the relationship between these things that exist within the universe, and how these things should operate in accordance with one another to perpetuate, sustain, and optimize the universe and life itself. Okay, that's what ma'at is when you understand it fully. Okay, it's synergy, it's interconnectedness, it's evolution, it's an evolutionary force, and it's also extinction. Man, Okay, so you know, this is something. Yeah, it is greatly misunderstood. You know, people use the term ma'at, and you know, ma'at, you know, might mean something like you know, kumbaya, or you know, something like that to them. Okay, and that's not what it is at all. No, it's not a turn the other cheek kind of thing, such so on. It is literally, it is the way in which all of your cells in your body work together. The way in which all your organs in your body work together to make sure that your body keeps going. That's ma'at. That all of the individuals in a family work together, okay, to make sure that the family thrives, that the family grows, etc. So on. That's ma'at. It is the relationship between the man and the woman coming together to produce life. That's ma'at. Between the bee and the plant, okay, man and the tree, and the exchange of vital gases, okay, for their respective survival. That's ma'at, right? It goes much more beyond just the general concepts that we assign or ascribe to it, such as, you know, truth and balance and things of that nature. They're associated with it, but definitely not self to define it or sum it up, I should say.
So the things that the pillars are not all that it is to my.
No, I say, you know, those, like I say, those things that that the ancestor, you know, George M. James brought out, which I don't disagree with, by the way. I don't know where he got it, but if that's his own, you know, understanding that he derived from studying it, I would say that, you know, he did good with it. Okay, but it's not the sum of what ma'at is. Ma'at is a force of nature. Okay, as a matter of fact, ma'at is actually you know, when we talk about all of the neteru within and as Neten, the way that they work together in the laws by which they operate and the functions that they carry out in the universe, that's ma'at. That's why, you know, the forces for, you know, that are identified with ma'at, you know, people, you know, consider ma'at, you know, when they don't understand it, as a singular neter or neteret, okay? Heteru is identified with ma'at. Osir is identified with ma'at. Tufnut is identified with ma'at. So, you know, you have several forces. Renenutet is identified with ma'at. Okay, Osir and Nethet together are called ma'ati. The two ma'ats. Like, so, you know, you have several forces, and then you also have masculine forces associated with ma'at. Tahuti is called ner ma'at. Ishu is called ner ma'at, and he's also depicted with the feather of ma'at on his head, as he's the principle. He's the force that actually differentiates and establishes and maintains order within the universe. So, you know, it's all of the forces together, ma'at or law or laws, which is why when we get into Haitian voodoo, okay, these forces are called loa. These forces are called loa, which means law. Laws. So, you know, if we're not dealing, once again, you got to be within the tradition and within the culture to understand, okay, what this is and you know what it means and the implications of it. You know, in the ritual context, what is ma'at? And when we see our ancestors offering ma'at, what does it mean? It's okay, I'm offering that which is ma'at versus that which is boot. Okay, meaning I'm offering that which is correct or right and exact. Okay, it's considered taboo. or incorrect. You understand? I'm coming in a state of righteousness, ritual purity, versus a state of taboo or impurity. All right, so you know, there's levels to it. Get to it, you got to get in it. Okay, you got to get in it. Right? So when you hear people talking about Ma'at, and you know, if they're not dealing with it to that degree, they don't understand these forces and you know all of this, then you know you have to say, okay, I don't think this person is in it. They're dealing with it from a topical level or from the perspective of an outsider. I had a brother the other day, you know, called himself trying to give a review and synopsis of Remembering Osir without ever reading Remembering Osir at all. He read the, you know, the pillars, you know, of African spirituality that I laid out in the introduction, and based on that, he tried to sum up the entire book. It was such a great blunder that, you know, afterwards it was just like, yo, everybody was like, yo, you know, mistake. You know what I mean? Because it's just one of them things where he exposed himself as an outsider, not just to this tradition, but to African traditions in general. Look at this from an outside Europeanized mind, thinking that you're going to understand an ATR. You're not going to. You're not going to understand an African tradition, okay, from the outside looking in. You got to get in this thing. You got to get in this thing. You got to study this thing. And even beyond that, you got to actually experience it. You got to actually live it. That's the most important part. The entire book, 666 pages of theories until you jump your ass in it and try it. Until you try it out. 66 pages of theory. Until you participate. Once you participate, the rituals, the divination, these things, right? You know, they validate themselves. And you know that it's the real deal. You know? People misunderstand a lot. Yeah, I say, you know, Ma'at, Hotep. Hotep is another term. You know, Hotep, they say it means peace. Hotep actually means to offer. It's an offering. Okay, Hotep or Hetep is you know, written with an offering table and a loaf of bread. Okay, when we make our offerings, present offerings to the shrine, a Hotep di Nisu, an offering giving by the Nisu, or a royal offering, right? And you know, the offering, the purpose of the offering is to Sihotep, the Neter or the ancestor, meaning to bring the ancestor to a state of, okay, or rest, or a state where they are, you know, the term is placated or appeased. Okay, so Hotep is also associated with offering, is associated with sacrifice. Beyond peace. Okay, so you know, that's just, once again, there's levels to it. Once you get involved, you know, you become more exposed to it.
So my man read the intro and said, "I got the book, man." You know, he read the
intro and tried to take a massive dump on the book.
From three words in the intro.
I take a massive dump on the book and pay severely for it.
www.henensu.com. Get your copy. Get your copy today. Y'all can join our discussion. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna have like an 85-week discussion, you know, on this text right here. You know, whether it be on this channel or you know, on our Do Knowledge Radio YouTube channel, on Do Knowledge Radio. We're going to get all the way into this book. This book is very vital in the reclamation of our African self. You know, like we've gone through an identity crisis to where it has even spilled over into where the artificial has more credence over our lives than that which is physical. You know, we're not even living our lives. Like we're going through the motions and being led by a virtual, artificial experience. So whatever social media say, that's what we live in our life to, you know. So we got sword fights going on about whether or not we should use Dove soap. You understand what I'm saying? Folks is talking about Dove soap today. You know what I mean? And we in a crisis where our identity is being co-opted and used artificially for our physical, mental, psychological, emotional detriment. So we're not in a position where which we are benefiting from anything that is coming from us, that is being given back to us. So, you know, just like the text speaks to lending your attention, wherever you give your attention, your energy follows. You know, speaking to that and, you know, safeguarding that energy and ensuring that it's directed in a way that's going to yield you results. So, you know, this, you know, instruction manual, another word of caution is that you can't get the book. You get the book and read, just because you read through the book don't mean that you got it either. That got to go out there again too. So, you know, it's like, hey, maybe I get the book. But it becomes a litmus test for ones who are truly seeking to live a way of life. And I put an emphasis on living a way of life, you know, that is conducive and in line with the intense goals and aims of our ancestral lineage and of our future. And they're one and the same. So.
Sir.
I know I want to say family because I want to spend some time on chapter 9 family. Like that that's a show by itself. You know what I'm saying? So I really wanted to hear from, you know, the family in regards to these 2 chapters that we, you know, that we looked into today in regards to the chapter 7 and chapter 8. Did reading this chapter and having these discussions and bring up, you know, in the classes and everything, you know, for everybody, bring about a better understanding of us coming into being, and also the order of the universe, to surmise these 2 chapters right here. Did these bring about or give you a better insight into your own personal reality in regards to leading up to this next chapter dealing with family? What are some of the things that you learned about yourself and in regards to your relationship to, you know, the universe? Corey, you want to answer? Anybody want to answer from the panel?
Yeah, that's a tough question for me, brother Sin. I don't have a whole lot on that one just yet, man.
Okay. That's a bad mark, man, on your report card, GG. You know what I'm saying?
I say, Jay and Umeme, they look like they about to chime in. They got something they want to say.
They got deep on it. Both of them like, hold up. I got something to say. Talk to my cousin. I got something to say. You know what I'm saying? I can say something.
Is it on?
Yes.
Yeah, the floor is yours. Uncle John Step.
Understanding the anatomy of being for me in relation to the universe deals with different levels of self. Like, you know, we're going from the highest to the lower.
Oh, come closer to the mic. Yo, come closer to the mic. It's we can't hear you.
Yeah, we don't want to miss this. I have a dream speech, brother. You know what I mean? I don't want to miss it.
Can you make me better?
I don't think so.
We hear you. Very good, Umeme.
Oh, well, come over here.
Can you hear me? Better now?
Oh yeah, there we go.
Okay, there might be.
There we go. Do what too?
All right, so the anatomy of being deals with different aspects of self, just like it's different aspects of the universe. So the different aspects of the planes, right? The more subtle aspects versus the more dense or the more grounded level of being. So you got your body, which is the ka, right? You got the spirit, more or less, which is the ba, and these aspects to be dealt with differently, right? Like your body gets fed through you know, meditation and herbs and things like that. But so the same thing with the universe, right? Like the earth, your body represents the earth, right? Your mind represents the duat or the spirit realm. So that's how we can relate, how to relate to the universe as well as to ourselves in the same context. And so and so the treatments are very similar when you're dealing with you know, whether you're helping yourself or you're helping your friends, if you're feeding your ancestors, you know, if you are petitioning the ancestors, if you're interacting with the ancestors, they all are interrelated, so that you could function in life. That's all I got.
Dua, Dua.
Get that man a grenade, man. Get that man a grenade. Oh.
I say, I say, yeah. I say, make sure, you know, he get like three or four of them jokers.
Oh man.
You know, I say, you know, I want to say, you know, just real quick in terms of the anatomy of being. One thing that, you know, definitely shouldn't be overlooked. When we talk about the, you know, the way that our ancestors understood the organization of reality, right? Because I say the anatomy of your personal being, that's major, right? We're talking about, you know, those 9 components that each individual consists of. But then, when we're talking about the organization of reality of the universe, right? Talking about duat and ta. Okay. And, okay, the spirit realm and the physical plane or earth. You know, and then understanding the levels to these, the upper pet, lower pet, okay, duat, and understanding how these things relate, these planes of existence, another duat existing within pet, planes of the universe, if you will, or the insides of the universe. Understanding the order in which manifestation happens or events occur, things come into being. Thing ultimately, you know, of course, initially coming from pet, but ultimately of manifestation happening from things coming out of the duat, out of the spiritual realm or the quote unquote mental plane, into the physical realm. This is something that this is universal to African traditions and understanding that everything that happens out here in this plane, in this place, okay, has its origins in the spirit realm. And this is why it's important that we working with these forces to make sure that they are in a state of ma'at or hetep, okay, be they the Neteru or the Jertiyu, okay, or ancestors, right? Because in our text, in our cosmologies, which I laid out in the in that chapter, you know, it's in the text called Amduat, the Book of Gates, in which, you know, Ra says, it is said that Ra decrees. He gives his decrees in the Duat, and he causes everything to spring up in the earth. Decrees. Okay, everything that happens in the earth, plans that Ra decrees in the Duat. This is in the actual text, letting us, helping us to understand that there is nothing that happens in the physical realm that is not ultimately stemming from the spiritual realm. And this is why African traditions spend so much time making sure that the spirit realm is good, that the Neteru are good, that the ancestors are good, that the Orisha are good, that the Egunguna are good, that the Loa are good. Okay, the Abosom are good, right? This is why. Okay, the focus on the rituals and the sacrifices and the importance of understanding these forces and the laws and the principles, okay, that they operate on and that they convey to us, that we derive from them, right? And how our living in harmony, how our manifesting these forces, giving them the highest expression within our being, the harmony with them, and in turn harmonizing and establishing order in our external lives. Or as you hear some people say, okay, some people say as above, so below, right? Or so it is within, so it is without. Or some people might say, your experience creates your experience, etc. So on, right? This is the same principle being conveyed, that ultimately your condition outside in this world is an extension and reflection of the condition of your spirit world. So that particular text, okay, that is an aspect of the anatomy of being, which is found in the Amduat, is found in the Book of Gates, and is found in the Book of Nut. These texts lay out this organization most importantly, okay, most importantly. And it's something that needs to be understood because, because we've been cut off from our culture and our traditions as a people worldwide. Totally worldwide, we've been cut off from our culture and our traditions and our traditional classical ancestral worldview. Because we've been cut off from our classical ancestral worldview, we are a completely disorganized people. We are completely disorganized in terms of our perspective, and by consequence, we are out of order and out of sync with nature in reality. And it is this that ultimately leads to this condition that we are in as a people. And until we get this right, more the same.
All right. Yeah, I did want to say.
I see Hanif. and got bit.
That's the squad in there?
Yeah, they came in.
Squad up.
Crept in the door.
That's what I'm talking about. We was discussing chapter 7 and chapter 8 in the text. If y'all wanted to share your thoughts before we wrap it up, you know.
Uncle Justin,
Uncle Justin.
what's up, fool?
What's up? Yes, sir.
I'm pretty sure y'all going in as always.
Yeah, man. You done missed some jewels, some gems, and some grenades, GG. You know what I'm saying? Some grenades got dropped up in this chart. You know what I'm saying?
I know, man. We just touching down like Aunt Benu said. We just slipping up in the back door. Just made it back home. So definitely trying to chime in. But I'm pretty sure, as always, a very powerful bill, family.
Yeah. So we were discussing chapter 7 and chapter 8. Leading up into chapter 9. In regards to some of the things that were discussed here. So we're just looking to see if there was anything that you or Gabby wanted to share in regards to takeaways from chapter 7 and chapter 8.
Well, I don't. A lot of times, I guess, even with the whole book, is very interesting to hear Brother Aankhu Benu bring his perspective, being that he is the author, and especially when we go back and I use the Ku Kim actual series a lot of times to help me on not only the chapter 7 and 8, but the whole book as we are encompassing this great work. So with that being said, Benu, what type of what am I coming in on?
Okay, chapter 7, that's a chapter that pertains to the anatomy of being, and chapter 8 is the chapter that pertains to Ma'at. So we were just talking about the importance of understanding the organization of reality, as laid down by our ancestors, and not understanding that organization leaves us completely disorganized and out of order with reality, with our ancestors, and such and so on.
Okay. And like I said, I don't want to say too much, but then I don't want to say too less. But just to chime in and add on to what you were just saying, a lot of times, and for what I'm finding, me as a person, and kind of trying to make personal experiences that we go through or that we encompass in our day-to-day and making it relative to the cosmology. A lot of times being that the information has been lost, and we are researching and we are recovering and bringing it back to our recollection, as we're talking about inside Remembering Osir. A lot of times it is very important to remember the inward work, the establishment of your mind. As we talk about Shechem and Yaakov, we look at the Shechem as being the energy, the very energetic part. As I look at a lot of times, I look at that as being our bodies. We know with our bodies, we get down and do a lot of physical things. And I look at Shechem as basically being the manifestation of our, physical power. And when I look at Yaakov, I look at that as being, what we know as our intelligence. And it kind of reminds me of on the Ninja Turtles, they had the Krang, I think Krang, and he was the brain inside the little body. Basically, the body was nothing without that little brain. And it's basically showing the importance of, adding intelligence to our power. as it relates to getting things done. And we see us as a black people being in, you know, today's situation, trying to, I'm going to say, remedy ourselves from a lot of the afflictions, the things that have been plaguing us. Going back to the drawing board, I guess, is a thing that we don't like to do, because that is a thing that requires a lot of inward work, a lot of mental work. And being that, you know, from what I've seen in being in this westernized way of thinking, we have gravitated to a very physical life. And basically, they say like a chicken running with his head cut off. You know, the chicken's body is still running, but it's not attached to any form of cognitive thinking. So I see that as being basically a main thing for us as a people. And as I utilize these texts, utilize the teachings of the brother Aankhu Benu, and also the ancestors of our great traditions, as they, you know, utilize these same things to help them figure out problems, you know, getting down to the nitty gritty. And as the brothers, you know, spoke about Ma'at, and doing it in the Ma'atian way, you know, whereas you don't want to put on your clothes and then take your bath later. You want to take your bath and then put on your clothes and then prepare to go. You don't want to, you know, so doing things in order is very important as it relates to actually getting some serious results. We can try to do things, we can say we're doing things that we've seen in a lot of our movements, you know, and kind of putting you in the mind of that chicken running around with his head cut off, or basically your Shechem without the Yakub, basically your power without, you know, your intelligence not being attached to it. And I think a lot of times, you know, if us as a people were able to get in and, you know, discuss the parameters of the cosmologies, not only chapter 7 and 8, but as, you know, as we open up and we're going to have more discussion, you know, just talking about doing things the right way. And from what I see is very, very much, you know, is important that we establish culture and doing things inwardly, from the inside out. And that looks like, to me, quality over quantity. A lot of times in some of our movements, inside of our get it done movements, we may insist quantity, and not denying that we need momentum. But I would encourage that we need integral momentum. You know, not the type of momentum where we're going and then we're going to have to stop. You know, where we're going, you know, and then we're going to have to, we get broke down. You know, something that is set up with, you know, that is set up inside a genuine fashion and with integrity. And so we don't have to come back and fix things, you know, that were wholly, you know, later on. So we can go ahead and prepare ourselves to get it done the right way. And I think this is what we see in chapter 7 and 8. It kind of encourages us to build the outside or the physical structure from the inside, you know, going in, understanding the cosmologies, understanding what our ancestors were saying as it related to conditioning your inward self, understanding these inward forces of nature, and as they express themselves, as they express themselves in the outer or the more physical forms of life. So I don't mean to be long-winded, but definitely, hey, we had a lot of learning, a lot of discussion on chapter 7 and 8, and you know, like I said, we can definitely get into more in the upcoming discussion.
Yo.
Aankhu Benu came in and dropped the mic on us, GG. You know what I'm saying? You know? I guess we could move into, you know, final thoughts. We definitely want to thank everybody for tuning in and for the debate, you know, participating in this special edition. I wanted to say one more time that, you know, we are on every Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You know, due to some scheduling conflicts, you know, the last 2 Saturdays we haven't been available. We are available. African Liberation School will be on every Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to be dealing with this text, remembering Osir, on a multiplicity of platforms, whatever platform we got available. We're going to have an opportunity going through, have dialogue on the text. So, you know, again, thank you to everybody for participating, and then we could go through the panel and save the soot for last, because I know he got some more grenades left in him. You know what I'm saying? As we close the joint out, so we can start off with St. Corey. You know what I mean? Final thoughts for tonight.
Yeah, I just want to say definitely thank you on elaborating, helping me fill in some of the voids right there that I had earlier. But it's very, very powerful. And uh, yeah, I had a question. I'm gonna have to get back to you on it right now. I was chasing my son for a second, but um, powerful from all of the brothers that came in on there too, and the sisters.
One to
One to
Sent with him out.
I just want to say that it was a good. It was interesting to me because I was following you when you're talking about chapter 7 and 8, and as I stated to Aankhu Benu earlier, I'm going back to read the book over again, but I kind of understand the anatomy of being, because it's like when they say the anatomy of our bodies, each part of our organs does something different. And what I'm getting is the anatomy of being is what makes up us as beings, I guess. So it's something that I'm still understanding and trying to come into knowledge with. But this was a pretty good class tonight.
one to Dua.
Dua.
The pillar ain't get a proper introduction earlier. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a yield. You know, and let you handle that right there.
I say this is my beautiful and wise wife, Hamad Nasu Warit, Marine the Turk, Sekarenut Benu. If you would please share your final thoughts, family.
To you. I just wanted to thank, Penn Knowledge Born for allowing this, you know, build to take place. I think that's one of the beauties of this platform, and those that are like it is we get to discuss like a text as dense as this is really supplemented with these discussions, and yeah, it's really it's making it to where when you think about it, it's really no excuse for building and for growing through this when you have resources like this at your disposal. I think one of the takeaways that I got from from the book, and it came back up during the discussion, talking about the duat, and it really resonated for me. Like when you think about creation is constant, and my eye as the laws by which creation takes place. and the creative process as the duat, like that's something that I think a lot of people have issues with the creative process, myself included. Born, and Aankhu Benu, you talked about earlier the brother who kind of did a superficial peruse of the book, and how yeah, that's something that a lot of us can fall victim to, is just taking things for the superficial value. But this is a text that it has to be, dug into with a fork and a knife. And yeah, just I'm looking forward to more, more of the fam coming out to build with this thing.
All right, Dua Matel.
All right, squad over there. RJ and Umeme, you know what I'm saying?
Peace and empowerment. I guess my final thought. You first of all, you got anything to say, babe? No. All right. So, so my final thought is, if you are curious, right? Most of us have gotten our spirituality through Christianity, through Black Christianity, right? And of course, aspects of it, the way it's been presented to us, with the Holy Spirit and whatnot, is what's going on? Oh,
he doesn't agree with that.
Say what? What? Hear me. Let me finish. Let me finish. Most people, again, we growing up. Maybe I should talk for myself. Then. Me as a Black person, as a Black man, I was raised, in the spiritual practice of Christianity, right? And it's a unique way that it's been presented to us, where people catching the spirit and chanting and stuff like that in our household, right? And of course, that aspect is definitely just another presentation of white spirituality, right? So understanding my and understanding the anatomy of being gives us a more correct way to consider, to first of all, to interact with our spiritual selves, right, with the spiritual world. So I think that it's imperative that we reach out to that. We reach out to our ancestors through whether it's Kemetic spirituality, voodoo, whatever aspect of African spirituality, reach out to that to gain a more proper understanding about spirituality, how the world works, how spiritual nature works, and how yourself works. That I think that's my final thought.
Dua Matel.
The Equanic dynasty over there. I know they got some final thoughts.
Hotel pool, absolutely. Man, one thing I can definitely say that that the brother Aankhu Benu, and definitely I want to take my hats off to again brother Born, and all of the Henensu family, those supporters of you, brother Born, and the supporters of brother Aankhu Benu, and the supporters of us in Henensu and the work that we do. It has been a pleasure to involve myself and engage in these works. And as Marina Turk just said, hopefully we can open up a long discussion of why this work and other works coming from this work will be very important to speak about and actually start to implement inside the culture, inside the lifestyle that we look to, you know, to reflect what we're doing inwardly. But I can say, as we were saying earlier, something out of 7 and 8 I really got was to Iri Ma'at. And that's when we speak about Iri Aket, we think about things like even this show. But it's not only this one show, Brother Knowledge, but all of the shows that you have where you could be encompassing various different, you know, levels of Black nationalism, of Black, you know, tradition, African tradition, African history. You cover a whole lot. And I think what we are doing there is Iri Aket. And Iri Aket means these are the things that are done, or the things that we do. And basically, these are, it is basically ritualistic as we are participating in it. Hopefully we'll come back next Sunday. Hopefully we'll come back the Sunday after that. Hopefully we can start, you know, speaking about and talking about Haru is very important as we're speaking about, you know, these great things, these magnificent things, these things that are going to help, you know, get us out or redeem us on the day of Haru. And these, you know, this is according to the cosmology and doing, you know, so basically implementing the things of our ancestors and the things that we're doing now in our area cat or in our ritualistic things that we do. So hopefully we'll be coming together more so, not only on Tuesday night, we're coming together on Sunday night. We can come together all nights until we will encourage or inspire that momentum where all of us as a family will be together. And we won't have to wait for another call, or we won't have to wait till the next time we see each other. We can be vibrating in our community together, and we can be reflecting, you know, the stuff that we speak about, the cosmology, the traditions. We can be manifesting those great things inside our environment, inside our culture. So this book, this brother, this family, you Brother Born, the new clan, the beautiful lovebirds in Henensu, the good Sin, the Sinu, the Sinetiu that are in Henensu, the brothers and sisters that all inspire each other. Hopefully we can continue this great work up as we also are inspired by Brother Aankhu Benu, and where we can be an inspiration to, you know, to him as he carries the torch on and does that great work. So, hey man, I'm like what Hakeem said in Coming to America, I'm very happy to be here. So I'm very happy to be at this place where we exchange and in this you know, this great work.
What to say? Do what?
I don't.
Okay, so you know, first and foremost, I want to say, you know, before we get out of here, you know, say do I once again to, you know, to you Knowledge Born for you know, extending the invitation and you know, welcoming us on to this illustrious platform, and you know, thanks to the Get This Wisdom, you know, family, you know, for extending the invitation once again. We were on week, I think, you know, if it wasn't, I think it was last week, we were on the Benu clan. We were dealing with you know, African traditions and polygyny and things of that nature. So it's definitely an honor and a you know, privilege and a pleasure every single time that we grace this platform and share with our African family. To Henensu a bot for, you know, being true champs, your commitment and consistency and sacrifice, you know, and dedicating your time to join in and participate and add on to the dialogue. And you know, dua to the African family, family alone, okay,
Yeah, right.
that is out there watching, not the rest of you bastards. Okay. I want to say, you know, make it clear, you know, what we're talking about. I'll take my time with this. What we're talking about, you know, in this series, in the work that we do, this is extremely important. You know, tonight we dealt with, you know, the anatomy of being in Ma'at. You know, we're talking about order. We're talking about the order of the universe, the laws by which the universe operates, the organization of the universe, of reality at that. We didn't even really scratch the surface in terms of the anatomy of being, like, you know, what, you know, when we start talking about these things and the duat and how everything comes from the duat, but before it comes from the duat, it has to first go through your ancestors. You know, that happens in this plane has to first pass through your ancestors. So, you know, your ancestors is your first security system. And, you know, ancestral veneration is probably the single most important aspect of African traditions, and not just African traditions. You know, even when we cross compare other cultures and things of that nature, we find ancestral veneration as the single most important element of the tradition. And you know, it's just ramifications of that. You know, it's just crazy. Like, for instance, if we understand that before anything comes in this world, in this plane, it has to first pass through your ancestors. It has to, the ancestors serve as like a security checkpoint. What Osir on the throne in the duat represents, as they pass through, and he has to pass by the scales before they, before it can go forward, right? That's what that represents. So what, you know, what's coming into this plane of existence upon us is not to our liking or not to our benefit. Could it be that our ancestors are not on the throne, not on the security watch? Could it be that they're not on the checkpoint? And if they aren't, why aren't they? You know? Could it be that we haven't elevated them to the throne in the spirit realm through our traditional practices? In a position of empowerment, able to handle their business on that side, that we can handle our business on this side? This is, you know, this is extremely important, and it can't be overlooked once again, okay? You know, so, you know, these, you know, the ramifications and the implications of understanding the anatomy of being and Ma'at, these things are, you know, I say it's invaluable, okay? It's invaluable. Most time and attention needs to be devoted to this subject, you know? And, you know, when we talk about, is, you know, the reclamation of our culture and our traditions are the first step to reestablishing our identity, our proper identity, and asserting ourselves as a people. You understand? You know, this is about nation building, and you can't nation build without having a culture.
That's right.
You know, you cannot nation build or establish a nation without first having an ethnogenesis, and you have no ethnogenesis without a culture. So this is something. Understand that, you know, your enemy does not want you to reclaim your African identity. They identify your reclamation of your African identity as an act of war. You know what I mean? They see you coming back and reclaiming your African self as an act of war. You know? And you know, this is something that we got to understand, that we need to have our minds right. We have to have our minds in order. We have to be organized on the inside so that we can be organized on the outside with this, because, you know, they don't want us dealing with this African stuff.
For you.
Remember, it was this African stuff that you know, that allowed our people in Haiti, who they thought was the most powerful military power in the world at that time.
That's right.
Using voodoo, organizing themselves around the forces and the principles of voodoo, to throw the French and to liberate themselves and to establish Haiti as a sovereign nation. Understand that? Okay, they understand the ramifications. You go back and you read or watch the video of Obama's last UN address, and where he states that people nationalism, grabbing hold and holding on to their ethnicity and their ethnic identities is one of the #1 obstacles or impediments to the agenda that they have in establishing a world economy. They want you to sell out yourself and your ancestors and your identity for a goddamn economic system. You know, and your refusal to do so, your refusal to bow down, and you're holding on to your Africanness at the war. You know, but in the words of the great elder Marimba Ani, our culture is our immune system. A people's culture is their immune system. And, you know, say when we deal with our traditions, we don't have to worry about anything that they do, because their little bullshit will be checkmated. That's all I got to say about that. So with that said, you know, I will that everybody, you know, enjoyed the build and come back. You know, ideally, you know, hopefully you will get the book, you know, real in-depth, serious study of this classical African tradition. If you have questions, feel free to contact me. You can email me at henensu@gmail.com. On Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all that other stuff. Aankhu Benu, AANKHBENU. You know, like I said, the time is now to really get into you know, these things, so that we can be who it is that we are. What we got to do for our ancestors and take our proper place in reality. Okay, take our proper place in reality, getting in tune with reality. That's what this tradition is about. Right? Duanater.
I'm gonna figure out how to get the bombs over here. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have to ship them joints in. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if I'm gonna play them over here, because, you know, I tried to play that music, and that music, y'all just let me, you know what I'm saying, sound horrible with that joint, man. You know what I'm saying? So good. Yeah. So I definitely thank everybody for tuning in, participating. You know, for the you know, brothers and sisters showed up in the chat rooms. You know, wanted to them. This is my family. I just wanted to talk to my brother RJ real quick, man. You know what I mean? Our cultural lens is our cultural lens. You see what I'm saying? However you got it, you know, that's the start. You know what I mean? And we got a journey now to where we can have an understanding of what we were given, you know, and also what was taken from us. So, you know, however you started your journey, you're glad you at where you at right now. You see what I'm saying? And you can use that language from those other places to bring some more righteous or aspiring Africans to a place where they can be taught how to conduct themselves as such. You know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely glad and honored. So, you know, as I said, however we can do this with our normal African Liberation School today is Saturday. You know what I'm saying? Just scheduling conflicts with the past 2 Saturdays had prevented us from, continuing to delve into the text. So since the interest has been expressed, that's something that we can discuss on how further along we wanted to go. I don't have a problem with using this particular platform to continue on the discussion. It's fine, you know what I mean? So it's just something that we have to discuss and make a determination in regards to, how much longer we want to go in this lane. So it's fine for me. Do I head to the sit into the new dynasty, you know what I'm saying? And how Iquanip called the lovebirds of Henensu, you understand what I'm saying? All of y'all out there, you know what I'm saying, in love land, you know what I mean?
Not on Kelly love land though.
No, I ain't talking about the compound. I'm talking about the get down, not the compound. I'm talking about the get down. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm definitely honored to be a part of such a great society of great sisters and brothers that are coming together for one particular common cause, and that cause is liberation. My particular platform was birthed out of that need for a virtual representation of what we knew had been going on within the the framework of our society. So wherever you find righteous African people, you find a righteous way of life. So whenever you find people that are wayward, you're gonna find a wayward type of society. So that manifestation that y'all see as Do Now's Radio, that y'all see as Get This Wisdom Live, are two vital components that stand as examples or direction arrows to point us back to the way. So, taking on that insurmountable task of dealing with the reclamation and the resurgence of the African mind, we have to be able to put, proper situations in place and facilitate space to where we can have an unbiased, fearless conversation about, being African people. So even those amongst us who seek to advocate for our enemy, unbeknownst to them, by demonizing the term African. You understand what I'm saying? So if you're not in a space to where you're championing the cause of African people, you're automatically being used to its detriment, whether you consciously are aware of it or unconsciously. Either way, what's happening. So definitely want to thank everybody for tuning in to this particular broadcast, and we're gonna roll up out of here. Catch us every Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Y'all can get that illustrious book and the other books from the search, www.henensu.com. Tell a friend to tell a friend that they African and get those books.
Hey, yo, boy.
Yo.
I just want to say, like again, I want to appreciate you, brother. We want to appreciate you, because you definitely do go very, very hard, brother. Not only with just reserving your time for this show, but like every day of the week. And like I said, these are the things that are very important for us having that, not only having the platform, but actually participating. So where we can come together and we can discuss about the issues, the things that are going on. And I want to see, where we at the place where all of us could be at the Black Power Wars when you win that thing. And that is a reflection of us and the work that we do over here at Henensu. We're proud of you. I'm proud of brother Aankhu Benu and the whole fam. So like I said, salute. Those are my wishes. Those are the things that I desire. So hopefully these are the components of the anatomy of being. I visualize it. The next thing is that it's here in full manifestation in the physical. So, hey man, I appreciate, you allowing us, and, let us know when, kind of keep us update when you're going to have them shows, or, when we can tune in, things of that nature, bro.
Oh, we own, this is like my 9th show of the week. You know what I mean? This the 9th show of the week right here. You know, 8 or 9 shows a week. You know, easy. You know, I don't know about even the extra stuff, but it's just, you know, it's a commitment towards this particular contribution and goal. So if y'all go to www.blogtalkradio.com/Student Knowledge Radio, that's DOTHA, not THE. I seen a bunch of THE. This ain't European, this African. You see what I'm saying? So it's DOTHA KNOWLEDGERADIO. You know, I love y'all. Y'all in my family, so y'all could call me Born, or I don't know what y'all be calling. Y'all be calling me all kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's all good. Y'all family. You know what I mean? Can't nobody outside of the family come and just be talking crazy. You know what I'm saying? So it's all good. You know what I'm saying? So we on that particular broadcast, Do Knowledge Radio, 7 days a week. You know, here. We here, you know, on Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So Do Knowledge Radio. Also, we got a YouTube channel, and we're going to be doing a web series, the place where knowledge is born, Do Knowledge Radio, you know, behind the scenes. So we got about 650 or so episodes, and we're going to be doing a breakdown behind each one. So if y'all want to know what episode 1 was like, you know, to me, you know what I'm saying, I could tell you, and that's going to be a compliment to the book series that's being released. So, you know, it's a lot of things coming up on our particular platform. But, you know, tomorrow we got Plan, Plot, Strategize with General I. Emperor Sekhmet, and that's 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tuesday, we got Brick the Foundation. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we got Black Survival 2017 and Beyond on Wednesday. That's 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thursday, we have Sankofa Circle with Sister India Asada. That's 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Friday, we got the Truth Hour with the Brother Truth, 6 p.m. Saturday and Sunday is reserved for the guests. So we're going to be doing some things with some guests also. So I got all that info. Say peace. Black Power.